Hello there, I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan and this is Nightline, the top stories. King condemns bullying at UPNM, decrees for urgent action to be taken. And Arab Islamic Extraordinary Summit agreed UN resolutions against Israel. Good morning. The Yang di Pertuan Agong has decreed for the Defence Ministry to view the recent cases of bullying reported at University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia UPNM seriously, noting that such cases have occurred several times at the university. Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar said bullying cannot be allowed to persist, as it not only affected the well-being of the victims, but also blemished the reputation of Malaysia's higher education institutions. In condemning the recent case of alleged bullying at UPNM, which left a cadet with cracks on his ribs and spine, the King pointed out that the recent case was not the first, as a death had been reported there in the past, referring to the murder of Navy cadet Zulfarhan Osman Zulkarnain at the university's hostel in May 2017. Sultan Ibrahim granted Defence Minister Datuk Sri Khalid Nordin an audience at Istana Negara on Tuesday, where the King raised the issue of the UPNM bullying cases. While tough training in the armed forces is normal, aimed at forging mental fortitude in cadets, Sultan Ibrahim said this does not mean bullying or torturing someone to the point of causing physical harm or even taking their lives, as such actions are inhumane. On Monday, police said they had recorded statements from 15 people in their investigation into the latest alleged assault of a 19-year-old cadet who is said to have suffered cracks on his ribs and spine after being stomped on by a senior. This came after another 22-year-old senior cadet claimed trial last week to assaulting a 20-year-old junior by placing a hot iron on his chest at the UPNM hostel on October 22nd. Meanwhile, Defence Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Nordin has hinted that the military academy cadet who allegedly burnt another student with a hot iron may face dismissal from UPNM. Khalid said the decision regarding the punishment for the student involved would be made by the ministry's investigation board and is expected to be known by Wednesday.
Maka kita tidak akan kompromi untuk mengambil tindakan yang tegas. Termasuklah kita berhentikan mana-mana yang terlibat itu daripada menjadi seorang kadet, dan kita akan menuntut supaya dibayar balik segala tanggungan.
He was met after launching the 2024 National Integrity Day celebration. Khalid said the punishment for the student involved was determined as the investigation board had completed its investigation into the incident. In the meantime, Khalid said the academy has changed its SOPs following the alleged bullying cases, with new cadets separated from their seniors. More CCTVs will also be installed at the hostel blocks, aside from increasing the frequency of checks and roll calls. The Arab League has expressed support for Malaysia's call to suspend or expel Israel from the United Nations UN. The organization, which comprises 22 Muslim countries, is also confident that the proposal will gain broad international support. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim delivered this firm stance when speaking at the extraordinary Arab Islamic Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Monday, stating that Israel had gone beyond reason and humanity in its perpetration of genocide against the Palestinian people. In his national statement, Anwar also warned that if the world failed to act, this violence could spread and endanger the entire region, as Israel's brutal actions had already affected Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iraq and Iran.
Saya sebut semalam dalam ucapan di Riyadh bahawa langkah diambil oleh Israel itu jauh lebih parah daripada yang dilakukan oleh Afrika Selatan. Tapi masih diizinkan untuk berfungsi di sebagai negara dan berfungsi di PBB.
The Prime Minister said Israel's cumulative actions of violence have left the international community with no choice but to demand swift and effective action, including embargo, suspension, and even expulsion from the UN. Secretary-General of the Arab League, Ahmad Abul-Ghaid, agreed that firm action should be taken against Israel as the Zionist regime looks determined to continue its aggression on Palestine and Lebanon.
أن هناك الكثير من الدول سوف تؤيد فكرة تجميد العضوية وهذا التجميد ليس بخاضع لرؤية مجلس الأمن، بمعنى مجلس الأمن هو السلطة الرئيسية في السماح بتجميد بطرد أو الانضمام.
Echoing these statements was Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, who said it was a failure on the part of the international community that the war in Gaza and Israel's aggression had not been stopped. On another matter, Anwar is expected to receive Peru's highest honor, the El Sol del Peru, in recognition of his role as head of government during his first official visit to the Latin American nation since assuming office in 2022. The visit, which includes the Prime Minister's participation in the 31st APEC Economic Leaders Meeting from November 14th to 16th, is expected to strengthen bilateral relations between Malaysia and Peru. Anwar, who also serves as Minister of Finance, will arrive in Lima on November 13th for his official visit. According to Malaysia's ambassador to the Republic of Peru, Ahmad Irham Ikmal Hisham. During the visit, the Prime Minister will meet with President Dina Ercilia Boluarte Zagara to discuss avenues for enhanced cooperation between Malaysia and Peru. The meeting will be held at Peru's presidential palace, the Palacio de Gobierno. Topics of discussion are expected to include trade and investment, the status of bilateral relations, and potential new collaborations in the halal industry, infrastructure development, education, and culture.
Kedua pemimpin juga akan bertukar-tukar pandangan mengenai perkembangan di forum serantau dan pelbagai hala, khususnya ASEAN dan APEC. Serta dijangka akan menyaksikan pemeteraian beberapa memorandum persefahaman mengenai kerjasama dalam bidang-bidang gastronomi dan halal.
Dialogues and meetings with business leaders at the APEC CEO Summit will also provide the Prime Minister an opportunity to present Malaysia as a hub for digital innovation and renewable energy that can compete internationally. Throughout the visit to Peru, the ministers accompanying the Prime Minister will also hold bilateral meetings with their counterparts to further strengthen Malaysia's relationship with other APEC economies. A downpour on Tuesday morning caused flash floods in several parts of the Klang Valley, namely in Kuala Lumpur and Klang. Netizens took to social media to post pictures and videos of the flash floods, including on the Federal Highway, which have led to heavier than usual traffic congestion. 5 vehicles were trapped in flash floods along Persiaran Surian Damansara, Taman Pelangi Damansara, Petaling Jaya, Selangor. Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Assistant Director Ahmad Mukhlis Mokhtar said water levels receded and that no victims were reported. Mukhlis added that 8 firemen along with 2 fire engines from Petaling Jaya were deployed to the flood location. The Malaysian Highway Authority LLM had also urged road users to be vigilant as heavy congestion was observed along the Damansara Puchong Highway LDP due to the flash floods. Other parts of the Klang Valley affected by floods include Persiaran Surian Damansara, Shah Alam near the Elite exit, parts of the Federal Highway and Klang. And following the flash floods, a sinkhole opened up on the new Klang Valley Expressway and KVE on the emergency lane at kilometre 18.6 headed south. It forced highway authorities to close off the emergency lane and a portion of the left lane between Kota Damansara and Damansara. The sinkhole was reported in Plus Malaysia's social media post. Petaling Jaya District Police Chief ACP Shahrul Nizam Jaafar in a statement said that police received a report regarding the incident at 11 a.m. He also reminded road users to plan their journey and use alternative routes to avoid congestion. Moving on, police have confirmed that the case involving the body of an elderly woman found in a freezer at a house in Taman OUG is being investigated as murder. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Dr. Rusdi Muhammad Isa said a 53-year-old man has been arrested to assist with the investigation. Rusdi said police received information on the discovery of the body at 8:48 a.m. on Tuesday, and the body has been sent to the University Malaya Medical Center Forensic Unit for post-mortem. He said the motive for the murder is still being investigated. It was earlier reported that a man was believed to have murdered his elderly mother and stuffed her body in a freezer about 3 years ago after she refused to embrace his religious beliefs. The murder only came to light on Tuesday after the man in his 50s finally confessed to the police. It was learned that the suspect finally came clean to authorities because he was running low on savings and suffered from a chronic illness. Johor police crippled a drug syndicate after busting its processing dens in Johor Bahru, Iskandar Puteri and Kluang in a 2-day operation that saw the seizure of a record 28.31 million ringgit in drugs. The drug seizure was one of the largest in the state so far this year. According to Johor Police Chief Dato' M. Kumar, 7 suspects were detained, including the 33-year-old ringleader and 2 foreign women. The other suspects, 3 local men and 2 women, all aged between 27 and 62, were arrested on November 3rd and 4th.
Hasil siasatan awal mendapati sindiket ini boleh dikategorikan sebagai kumpul yang besar. Dia beli, dia repair dan dia akan jual. Selain daripada itu, hasil siasatan awal juga mendapati sindiket ini juga memproses jus yang mengandung dadah.
The syndicate is believed to be one of the largest drug syndicates operating in Johor. The operation resulted in the seizure of drug processing equipment, over 660,000 ringgit in assets, including cash, foreign currency, jewellery and 4 vehicles. The suspects face charges under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which carries the death penalty or life imprisonment with possible caning upon conviction. The 2 foreigners are also being investigated for immigration violations. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has launched the operation of the Proton Holdings Berhad car assembly plant in Egypt. In his speech at the launching ceremony, Anwar said the assembly of completely knocked down CKD Proton Saga cars in Egypt, set to begin next month, is part of Malaysia's efforts to bring about a new way of cooperation between countries.
Clearly signifies a very important milestone. Yes, we have had excellent bilateral relations in the past, but both of us, Malaysia and Egypt under Rais Abdul Fattah Sisi, have committed ourselves to enhance this strategic collaboration, to give meaning to our countries and our region, to believe that we have to ensure that countries, the emerging economies and the global south, be it in the BRICS format or even bilaterally, should show enough confidence and support. We are here because we have confidence in Egyptian leadership.
Egypt's Industry Development and Transport Minister Kamil Al-Wazir and the chairman of Ez Al Arab Al Zwedi Industrial Investments, Hisham Ez Al Arab, were among those present at the launching ceremony. The Proton Saga assembly plant in Giza will increase car exports to Egypt to 16,000 units between this year and 2026, generating revenue of 570 million ringgit. A further 20 million ringgit in income is expected to be generated through the sale of spare parts. The regional assembly centre in Egypt will be the first for the company's left-hand drive model abroad. Malaysia has significant potential to become a regional hub for electric vehicle EV manufacturing in ASEAN, thanks to its 40-year history in automotive production since 1983 and its strong semiconductor cluster. Deputy Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Liu Chin-tong said the country aims to foster greater integration between the automotive and semiconductor industries. and that's with the goal of becoming a leading hub for designing chips, specifically for the automotive sector. He shared that during his visit to Detroit, United States last year. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina M. Raimondo remarked in a meeting that when Malaysia went into lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic, automotive factories in Detroit were forced to shut down. This is because the chips the U.S. relied on came from Malaysia, and some semiconductor companies in Malaysia contributed substantially in global automotive chips. This will enable Malaysia to not only export automotive parts, but also automotive chips. The Malaysian government has set a target for electric vehicles to make up 20% of the total industry volume TIV by 2030, 50% by 2040 and 80% by 2050. The presidents of the United States, China and other Asia-Pacific nations gather in Lima this week for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Summit, overshadowed by the prospect of a world embroiled in trade wars under Donald Trump. It will be the last APEC summit for Joe Biden before he hands the presidency to Trump next year. Trump's America First agenda with protectionist stances on global commerce, fossil fuel extraction and foreign conflicts is threatening alliances Biden had built on issues ranging from the wars in Ukraine and West Asia to climate change and trade. Biden will be in the Peruvian capital later this week with China's Xi Jinping, who had called for the two countries to find ways to get along after Trump's victory. The president-elect has promised to slap huge new tariffs on Beijing in an attempt to balance bilateral trade, which he claims has left America holding the short end of the stick. He also threatened tariffs of 25% or more on goods coming from Mexico unless it stops an onslaught of criminals and drugs crossing the border. Zifei Izudin breeze into Kumamoto Masters second round. Sports after this breather.
Lahir dengan kuasa luar biasa, identiti mereka dirahsiakan.
Aku boleh baca fikiran kau.
Aku tak minta kau jadi bandar macam ni.
Allah ni dah bagi kita kelebihan. Kita guna apa orang kena punya.
Dan mereka kini adalah satu-satunya harapan.
Kalau macam ni punya gaya, kita dah boleh buat kumpulan pencegah jenayah. Aku setuju. Tapi kita kena bergerak secara rahsia. Boleh? Boleh? Boleh.
Squad X mulai 22 November, Khamis hingga Sabtu 9 malam. Terbaru di Lestari TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Nak minum matcha ke teh hijau? Teh hijau ke matcha?
Tak ada beza je.
Adalah.
Yang penting kena kurangkan gula sebab tak baik untuk kesihatan.
Perniagaan tuduh zaman sekarang untung ke? Lagi-lagi peniaga kecil dan sederhana.
Risiko kalau guna pengecas elektrik dalam kenderaan sebab risiko renjatan dan boleh membawa maut.
Harta pusaka tidak dituntut, kupasannya dalam soal wang.
MHI setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Di TV3 dan stream ditonton.
Kau tahu tak sebab kau awal putuskan tunang dengan dia. Puas hati kau. Tengok mak sedih.
Sebab perempuan ni kau curang ni aku.
I tahu dalam keadaan sekarang ni you struggle sangat.
Untuk selesaikan masalah ni, apa kata no kahwin dengan Noah? Kau buat apa ni?
Sekarang ni I dah call Jabatan Agama Islam.
Luruhnya Bunga Cinta 2 setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat 7 malam hanya di Akasia TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Hai sayang.
Abang dah balik?
Dah masak dah?
Sorry, belum lagi.
Kita sentiasa berharap untuk dapat pasangan yang terbaik untuk kita.
Namun, tak semua kesempurnaan dapat kita kecapi. Yang paling penting, kita kena saling memahami antara satu sama lain.
sports now. Badminton, the 2024 Kumamoto Masters. National men's doubles pair Gozife Nur Izzuddin launched their campaign in style by reaching the second round in Japan on Tuesday. The world number 8, who are aiming for their 4th World Tour title, defeated Taiwan's Ling Bingwei Su Xingheng 21-12, 21-17 after 32 minutes on court in the first round. The independent pair will next face compatriots Nur Azrin Ayub Tan Wee Kiong, who beat Taiwan's world number 39 Chang Ko-chi Chen Xingyuan 21-9, 21-18. Joining them were another men's doubles pair, Man Wei Chong, T Kai Wun. The world number 14 duo were forced to work hard before clinching a 21-18, 21-23, 21-19 victory over Christo Popov, Toma Junior Popov of France in a grueling first-round match. Wei Chong Kai Wun will face an uphill task in the second round when they meet Indonesia's world number 5, Fajar Alfian Muhammad Rian Adrianto. Meanwhile, top national women's doubles shuttlers Pearly Tan M. Tina suffered an early exit after crashing out in the first round. The world number 7 duo battled hard for an hour before going down 9-21, 21-14, 21-23 to homesters Yuki Fukushima, Mayu Matsumoto. Moving on to tennis, the 2024 Nitto ATP Finals. After winning the season's final Masters event in Paris earlier this month, Alexander Zverev got off to the best possible start in Turin on Monday, beating opponent Andrei Rublev. The two-time champion stood firm in the face of a fast start from Rublev to clinch a 6-4, 6-4 win in just 72 minutes, claiming a tour-leading 67th win of 2024. Zverev will take on Casper Ruud in the group stage on Wednesday after the Norwegian defeated Carlos Alcaraz in their opening singles match. Earlier, Ruud stunned and out-of-sorts Alcaraz to begin his campaign with a straight-set victory. The 6th seed, who had lost all 4 of his previous meetings against the Spaniard, romped through the opening set before fighting back from 5-2 behind in the second to win 6-1, 7-5. World number 3 Alcaraz, who won the French Open and Wimbledon titles earlier this year, made 34 unforced errors in an uncharacteristically errant display. And now on to football. The Argentine Primera Division. Argentine league leaders Vélez Sarsfield suffered a setback on Monday as they were held to a 1-0 draw at Deportivo Riestra. The visitors were the more dominant side as they held 70% possession with double the passing accuracy compared to the host. Vélez opened the scoring in the 44th minute through a penalty by Brian Romero after the ball hit the hand of Sanchez inside the box. The home side then levelled the scoreline in the 64th minute as Carlo Torres found himself at the end of Barrio Nuevo's cutback. The visitors almost broke the deadlock during injury time. However, Deportivo's goalkeeper made sure the game ended in a stalemate. With the draw, Gustavo Quinteros' side have had their lead shrunk to 1 point ahead of second-place Huracan, who have 42 points after 22 matches. Still on football, the English Premier League, Manchester United have announced that interim boss Ruud van Nistelrooy has left the club after the arrival of permanent head coach Ruben Amorim on Monday. Van Nistelrooy oversaw 4 games in the aftermath of Erik ten Hag's sacking, winning 3 and drawing 1 with 11 goals scored during his short tenure. The former Dutch international and club legend departed along with René Hakke, Zoltan Rouwelaar and Peter Moral. Van Nistelrooy was a fan favourite as a player at Old Trafford, scoring 150 goals in 219 appearances over a 5-year period. Meanwhile, United's new head coach, Ruben Amorim, has arrived at their Carrington training complex on Monday, just hours after he had orchestrated a 4-2 win over Braga in his final match in charge of former club Sporting. Amorim has 13 days to prepare for his first game, a Premier League fixture away to Ipswich Town on Sunday, the 24th of November. Dozens of pedestrians killed in China car ramming. The details when Nightline returns.
Cinta mereka bertaut atas dasar minat yang sama. Saat hati saling terikat, mereka berpisah tanpa kata. Di tengah hiruk pikuk kota Tokyo, kini dia kembali dengan rahsia yang tersimpan. Silent, mulai 16 November, setiap Sabtu dan Ahad 7 malam di Yoshi TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Wanita hari ini
tidak dihargai kadang-kadang menyakitkan.
Sekali-sekala tu berilah penghargaan sikit.
Lada hitam banyak khasiatnya
dan boleh divariasikan dengan pelbagai menu masakan.
Membuli dan dibuli isunya tidak berkesudahan.
Macam mana sebenarnya kita nak hentikan budaya yang tak baik ni?
Jika anak lahir di luar negara, apakah status kewarganegaraannya?
Ikuti kupasannya Khamis ini.
Seronoknya kalau menantu dan mentua bagaikan kawan.
Gang! Ikuti semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3
dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Kenapa kau kacau susu aku?
Siapa?
Kau dah termakan dengan cerita karut Nasrul ke apa?
Saya nak cari orang yang pandai berubat. Apa ada kawan tak?
Ilmu yang dihantar ni kuat sangat.
Segalanya akan kuturutkan.
Sebab kami ni miskin, tak berkuasa, nak kena diamlah.
Perempuan Ilmu Hitam, Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Get ready untuk pencarian 10 finalis terbaik Anugerah Juara Lagu 39. Mengangkat karya muzik ke tahap tertinggi. Hanya 10 teratas melangkah ke pentas AJL 39. Rasai sensasi muzik dan anda berpeluang memenangi Smart TV dan tiket AJL. Saksikan kelainan muzik-muzik 39 separuh akhir bersama hos paling menyala Izu Islam dan Fiza Frizi 14 dan 15 November 9 malam di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. On to the foreign front. Police in southern China on Tuesday said at least 35 people were killed, while 43 others were wounded when a car ploughed into people exercising around a sports centre in the city of Zhuhai. The ramming was reported on Monday. However, at the time, police only said that people had been injured, while videos of the incident appeared to have been scrubbed from social media. But on Tuesday, police said that a serious and vicious attack had occurred at Zhuhai's sports centre, revealing the death toll to be 35. Those wounded are not currently in life-threatening conditions. In a statement, authorities said the car had hit multiple pedestrians and then fled the scene at the city's sports centre at about 8 p.m. local time on Monday. It said the driver, a 62-year-old man, however, has been remanded and is in police custody, adding that investigations are underway. The Zionist military pounded Beirut's southern suburbs with airstrikes on Tuesday, mounting one of its heaviest daytime attacks yet on the Hezbollah-controlled area after the defense minister ruled out a ceasefire until Israeli goals were met.
Smoke billowed over Beirut as around a dozen strikes hit the southern suburbs from mid-morning. They followed a Zionist army warning identifying 12 sites in the area and saying it would take action against them soon. The warning, posted on social media, told residents they were near alleged Hezbollah facilities. The health ministry also said at least 5 people were killed and 2 wounded in a strike on the Lebanese town of Balshameh. Meanwhile, a total of 62 Palestinians were killed and 147 wounded over the past 24 hours after a Zionist airstrike targeted an overcrowded area in Deir el-Balah city.
President-elect Donald Trump has elected South Dakota Governor Kristi Nome on Monday as his next Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security.
With his selection of Nome, Trump is ensuring a loyalist will head an agency he prioritizes and that is key to his domestic agenda. Nome, who previously was a South Dakota representative, will now be tasked with overseeing a sprawling agency that oversees everything from U.S. Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement to the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the U.S. Secret Service. The department saw an immense amount of turmoil the last time Trump was in office.
Concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as a newly built museum opens to the public at the 4,300-year-old Tausi relic site in North China's Shanxi province. With that, I'm Muhammed and Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.